She notices the light first. Not the candles. Those are already lit. But the slant of the sun through the tall, arched windows, finning into gold, then amber, then something quieter. Dusk has a way of announcing itself in stages, and she has learned to measure time by it. She should have left by now. The letter in her hands is already folded, sealed, finished. There is no practical reason for her to still be standing in the Duke's study, save for the fact that he has not yet looked up. The room smells faintly of ink, leather, and the lingering warmth of the hearth. Papers lie spread across the long oak desk in careful disorder. Maps, correspondence, ledgers marked with his hand. The Duke stands on the far side of it, sleeves rolled, head bent, attention locked on a document as though the rest of the world has gone quiet. She clears her throat softly. He does not look up. "My lord," she says, not loudly, not sharply, just enough to be heard. "Yes," he replies absently. The sound of his voice sends a flicker of awareness through her that has nothing to do with the hour. "The letter," she continues. "From the southern estate." "Yes," he says again. Still, he does not turn. She waits. Silence stretches, not awkward, not empty, but weighted. The kind of silence that settles when someone is too focused to notice the shape of time shifting around them. Outside, the bells begin their low call, marking the transition from day to evening. She exhales slowly. "My lord," she says again, firmer this time. "You asked me to bring this before dusk." "Yes." And then, finally, he looks up. The moment their eyes meet, something shifts. It is subtle, but unmistakable, like the air tightening before a storm that never quite breaks. "Have you been standing there long?" he asks. "Yes," she replies honestly. He glances toward the windows, brow furrowing as he registers the color of the sky. "Ah," he says. "I lost track of the hour." She lowers her gaze respectfully. It happens. Not to him, usually. He reaches for the letter, fingers brushing hers for a fraction of a second longer than necessary as she passes it across the desk. The contact is brief, but the awareness lingers. "You were supposed to leave at dusk," he says, more to himself than to her. "Yes, and yet you stayed. You hadn't dismissed me." He considers that, then nods once. "Fair." He breaks the seal on the letter, scanning it quickly. His expression tightens, then smooths. "This confirms what we suspected," he says. The envoy delayed intentionally. She nods. "I thought you'd want to know." "I do." He looks up again, this time with clearer attention. "You look tired," he observes. "I'm fine." He studies her for a moment, gaze sharpening, not invasive, but perceptive. "You say that often." "It's usually true." "Usually," he echoes. The fire crackles softly, the sound grounding. Outside, the last of the daylight drains from the sky, leaving the room lit entirely by candle and flame. She shifts her weight subtly, aware now of the late hour in a way she had not been moments before. "If there's nothing else," she says carefully, "I should go." "Yes," he replies. But he does not move. Neither does she. The pause stretches, filled only by the low murmur of the fire and the faint sounds of the keep settling into evening. "You may go," he adds. Still, she remains where she is. Something about the way he said it, distracted, almost reluctant, makes it feel less like a dismissal and more like an afterthought. "My lord," she says again. "Yes." "You haven't noticed," she says gently, "that the hour has already passed." He glances toward the window once more, then back at her. "No," he admits. "I hadn't." The admission is rare enough to catch her attention. "You were meant to leave before the gates closed," he continues. "Yes. And yet," he says, looking at her fully now, "you're still here." She meets his gaze steadily. "Because you asked for the letter. And you stayed beyond what duty required." "Yes." The truth settles between them, unspoken but acknowledged. "You should sit," he says suddenly. "I would prefer to stand." "Because if you sit," he replies, "you'll stay longer." She hesitates. That's an assumption. It's an observation. She remains standing. "You've been on your feet all day," he continues. "You delivered messages from dawn until nearly sunset. It's my role, and you carry it without complaint." She inclines her head slightly. "It's expected." "Of you," he agrees. "Perhaps too often." The firelight throws soft shadows across his face, easing the severity of his features in a way daylight never does. "You're still here," he says again, quieter now. "Yes. And I haven't asked you why." She lifts her chin slightly. Do you want to? He considers her, then shakes his head. No. The answer surprises her. Then what do you want? She asks, careful but curious. He steps out from behind the desk, not toward her directly, but enough that the space between them changes. The room feels smaller now, the air warmer. I want, he says slowly, to understand why the hour slipped past without me noticing. She watches him closely. You were focused, she says. That's not unusual. No, he agrees. But this is. She waits. You were still here, he says. The weight of the statement lands heavier than she expects. I was doing my duty. Yes. And you could have left without delivering the letter. No. And yet, he continues, you waited. Yes. Their eyes hold, the moment stretching with quiet intensity. This is inappropriate, she says, though there is no heat in the words. Yes, he agrees immediately. And you're not denying it. No. The honesty unsettles her more than denial would. You should go, he says. Yes. But again, neither of them moves. Outside, the gates of the keep close with a distant echo, final, unmistakable. She hears it and stills. You're locked in now, he says quietly. Yes. You'll have to remain until morning. Yes. The implications settle. I can arrange quarters, he adds. Guest rooms. She nods. Of course. But something in his expression tightens, just slightly. You didn't plan this, he says. No. And yet you don't seem surprised. She considers her answer carefully. I trusted you to notice the hour, she says at last. He exhales slowly. I didn't. No. And now, he continues, you're here because of my inattention. Yes. The fire burns lower, the room warmer, quieter. This should not become complicated, she says. No, he agrees. But it already has. Yes. The word lands with quiet finality. You should rest, he says. Yes. And you'll be escorted. Yes. Still, neither of them moves. The moment stretches, not urgent, not indulgent, but charged with awareness. You were supposed to leave at dusk, he says again, as if testing the words. Yes. And I didn't notice the hour. No. She meets his gaze fully. That matters, she says. Yes, he agrees. And as the night settles fully around the keep, one truth becomes impossible to ignore. This was not about the letter, and whatever comes next will not be resolved by morning alone. The gate's closing should have settled it. That sound, iron meeting iron, final and unmistakable, has always meant an ending. Departures delayed until morning. Conversations concluded whether ready or not. She has lived by that rule long enough to feel its weight in her bones. Tonight, it does not end anything. The Duke moves first, not toward her, but past her, crossing the room to the door with the same measured calm he brings to counsel. He opens it and speaks quietly to the guard stationed outside. The exchange is brief, efficient. When he closes the door again, the latch clicks softly into place. You'll be given quarters, he says. Near the west wing. Yes. And an escort. Yes. The practicalities line up neatly, as they always do. Still, neither of them moves. She remains where she is, hands folded loosely at her waist, posture straight. He stands a few paces away, the desk now behind him, the fire at his side. You should sit, he says again, not insistently. I'm comfortable. That's not what I meant. She meets his gaze. Then say what you did mean. He studies her for a long moment, the firelight catching in his eyes, softening the sharpness without dulling it. You've been standing since dawn, he says. You haven't eaten since midday. That's not unusual. No, he agrees. But it's not sustainable. It's my responsibility. And you carry it like a debt, he replies. One you never allow to be paid. The words land closer than she expects. You're making assumptions. I'm noticing patterns. She exhales slowly. This is not why I stayed. No, he agrees. But it's why you're still standing. The fire crackles, sending a brief flare of warmth across the room. She shifts her weight without meaning to, the movement small but telling. You're tired, he says. Yes, she admits, surprising herself. The honesty feels less dangerous now than denial would. Sit, he says gently. She hesitates, then crosses the room and lowers herself into the chair near the hearth. The heat settles into her bones almost immediately, loosening tension she hadn't realized she was holding. He does not sit across from her. He remains standing, but closer now, near enough that she can feel the warmth of him when the fire flares. "You should have left," she says quietly. "Yes. And I should have noticed the hour." "Yes." They share a look that holds responsibility on both sides, evenly balanced. "This complicates things," she says. "Yes. And you're not pretending it doesn't." "No." The pattern of his answers has become familiar, honest, unadorned. "You could have dismissed me," she continues. "Sent the letter with a page. I could have. But you didn't." "No. And now I'm here because you didn't." "Yes." The truth sits between them, undeniable. "You're very careful," she says. "I try to be. And yet this happened." "Yes." The fire burns lower, the room quieter as the keep settles into night. Somewhere distant, a door closes. Footsteps fade. "You'll stay in the West Wing," he says. "The rooms are prepared for guests. I don't require special accommodation." "No," he agrees. "But you deserve rest." She looks up at him sharply. "That's not your decision." "No," he says. "But it is my concern. The distinction matters." "You're crossing a line," she says. "Yes. And you're aware of it." "I am." She watches him closely, searching for urgency, for insistence. "There is none. You could leave now," she says. "Have the escort take me." "I could. But you're not." "No." The honesty steadies her more than propriety ever has. "Why?" she asks. He does not answer immediately. Instead, he steps to the sideboard and pours water into a cup, then brings it to her without comment. He does not place it in her hand. He sets it within reach. She considers it, then takes it, sipping slowly. The coolness grounds her. "Thank you," she says. "Yes." The silence that follows is not awkward. It feels intentional. "You didn't notice the hour," she says again, quieter now. "No. And that bothers you." "Yes." "Because you're not accustomed to losing track of time." "No. And because it happened with me here." "Yes." She studies him. "That's dangerous." "Yes." "And you're still here." "Yes." She sets the cup aside, fingers lingering on the rim for a moment before withdrawing. "This cannot become something hidden," she says. "No. And it cannot become something that only exists because of fatigue and late hours." "No. And you're not offering me something I didn't ask for." "No," he agrees. "I'm acknowledging something that already exists." Her pulse quickens, not sharply, not fearfully, but with recognition. "And what is that?" she asks. "That when you are here," he says, "I pay attention differently." The words are quiet, careful, but they carry weight. "That's not fair," she says. "No," he agrees. "But it's true." She looks away briefly, then back again. "You're very direct. I prefer clarity to confusion. And yet this is unclear." "Yes." The fire pops softly, sending a brief shower of sparks upward. "You're still here," she says, echoing his earlier words. "Yes. And you haven't asked me to leave." "No." She nods once. "Then say what you need to say." He meets her gaze fully. "I don't want this to be an accident," he says, "or something explained away by circumstance. And I don't want it to become obligation." She replies immediately. "It won't," he says. "And I don't want to be something you manage." "No. And I don't want to manage you." A pause. "Good," he says quietly. They hold each other's gaze, the space between them charged but contained. "You'll stay the night," he says, not as command but as statement of fact. "In the West Wing." "Yes." "And in the morning," he continues, "we'll decide how this proceeds." "Yes." "And you'll have the freedom to step away." "Yes." The agreement settles, balanced and deliberate. She stands slowly, the movement unhurried. He steps back immediately, restoring space without being asked. "You should rest," he says. "Yes." "And I won't follow." "No." "And this won't be spoken of lightly." "No." She nods, then turns toward the door. As she reaches for the handle, she pauses. "You didn't notice the hour," she says one last time. "No." "And that matters." "Yes," he agrees. She opens the door and steps into the corridor. The air is cooler there, the torchlight dimmer, but her breath remains steady. As she walks toward the West Wing, escorted now by a quiet guard, she realizes something with sudden clarity. This was not about the letter. It was not about fatigue. It was about attention, given without demand, noticed without possession. And that is what makes it dangerous. Morning arrives quietly in the West Wing. Light slips through the narrow window of the guest chamber in pale bands. catching on the stone floor and the edge of the wooden table beside the bed. She wakes before the bells, before the keep fully stirs, her body already aware that something has shifted. Not unsettled, aware. She sits up slowly, listening. The keep breathes around her in its early rhythm, distant footsteps, the low murmur of voices beginning their day, the faint clatter of a gate being unbarred. The world has moved on, unchanged by the fact that she did not leave at dusk. She dresses with care. Not haste, not hesitation. The gown she chooses is practical, dignified, suited for daylight. She laces her corset firmly but not tightly, stopping before it constrains her breath. The choice feels deliberate now, not defiant, not indulgent. When she steps into the corridor, the air is cool and steady. A guard nods as she passes, already informed, already neutral. There is no scrutiny in his gaze, no curiosity sharpened into suspicion. She makes her way toward the inner courtyard first, not the council chamber. The sky is clear, the sun just cresting the walls, casting long shadows across the stone. She needs a moment of openness before decisions are made. The garden is quiet at this hour. Lanterns have been extinguished, dew clinging to leaves and stone alike. She walks its length slowly, letting the morning settle into her bones. This is not regret, nor is it anticipation. It is clarity. By the time she reaches the council chamber, the keep is fully awake. Inside, the room fills steadily. Advisors, clerks, men who have known her presence for years and do not question it now. She takes her place without ceremony, posture composed, attention sharp. The Duke arrives moments later. He does not look at her immediately. He acknowledges the room first, takes a seat, opens the ledger before him. Only then does his gaze lift, brief, measured, without emphasis. It matters that he does not mark the moment. The meeting proceeds with efficiency. Matters are raised, debated, resolved. She speaks when necessary, her voice steady, precise. He listens, defers when appropriate, challenges when needed. If anyone expects tension, they will not find it. What they notice instead is alignment. When the last matter concludes and the council begins to disperse, the Duke does not ask her to remain. He simply waits. She recognizes the pause and stays. The room empties. The doors close. Daylight pours in through the tall windows, leaving no shadows to hide behind. "You slept," he says. "Yes." "And you're rested?" "Yes." He inclines his head slightly. "Good." She studies him for a moment, then speaks. "You didn't notice the hour last night?" "No. And that wasn't because of the letter." "No. And it wasn't because of negligence." "No." She folds her hands loosely in front of her. "It was because you were paying attention." "Yes." The admission is simple, unembellished. That attention, she continues, cannot become obligation. It won't. And it cannot become something assumed. "No. And it cannot place me behind you." "No." He meets her gaze fully. "You won't be placed anywhere." The certainty steadies her. "Then we should speak plainly," she says. "Yes." "What happened last night," she continues, "was not a mistake." "No." "But it also wasn't a promise." "No." "And it cannot become something shaped by late hours and closed gates." "No." She takes a slow breath. "If this proceeds," she says, "it does so in daylight. With intention. And with the understanding that I may step away at any time." "You will have that freedom," he says immediately. No pause. No condition. "And you," she adds, "will not pursue if I do." "I won't." The balance holds. "You noticed me," she says. "Yes." "And you didn't act on that notice." "No." That restraint matters. It will continue to. The words settle between them, not as promise, but as structure. Later that morning, they walk the outer courtyard together, not alone, not hidden, not arm in arm. Their proximity is deliberate without being possessive. When others approach, they do not separate. When conversation arises, it flows naturally. The keep adjusts, not with whispers, with acceptance. By midday, the shape of things has been quietly understood. She returns to her chamber briefly, not because she must, but because she chooses to. The guest room feels different in daylight, less secluded, less weighted by night. She does not linger. Instead, she crosses to the west wing once more. The Duke's study door is open. Sunlight fills the room, illuminating the desk where she stood the evening before, letter in hand, waiting. She steps inside. He looks up immediately this time. You didn't leave, he observes. No. And you came back by choice. Yes. The difference matters. She moves closer to the desk, stopping where she had stood the night before. This is where I should have left, she says. Yes. And you didn't stop me. No. And I didn't go. No. They share a look that acknowledges responsibility on both sides. I don't want this to become something explained away by circumstance, she says. It won't. And I don't want to be someone you accommodate. You won't be. And I won't accommodate you. A pause. Good, he says quietly. The agreement is clean. That evening, as the sun lowers once more, she stands in the courtyard and watches the light fade. This time, she is not waiting to leave, nor is she waiting to stay. She is simply present. He joins her without announcement, standing beside her at a respectful distance. You were supposed to leave at dusk, he says softly. Yes. And I didn't notice the hour. No. She turns to face him. That matters, she says. Yes, he agrees. But not because of what it caused, she continues. Because of what it revealed. He meets her gaze. Which is, that attention given without demand is rare, she says. And dangerous. Yes. And that restraint shown without expectation is rarer still. Yes. She holds his gaze a moment longer, then nods once. We proceed, she says, with awareness. Yes. And without haste. Yes. And without illusion. Yes. They stand there as the bells begin their call, marking the hour clearly this time. Unmistakable, acknowledged by both of them. When the sound fades, she turns away first. Not because she must, but because she chooses to. And he lets her go. That, more than anything, confirms the shape of what has begun. Because she was supposed to leave at dusk. He didn't notice the hour. And instead of turning that into secrecy or regret, they turned it into intention. Which is the only ending worth keeping.